The moment Amara heard the jeering from the alley, her heart sank. But she didn't back down. "Leave him alone," she shouted, standing between her little brother and the group of older boys trying to scare them. Welcome, viewers, wherever you're watching from. Who are you and which city are you joining us from today? Make sure to hit subscribe and like this video before we dive into the story. This is the story of Amara, an 18-year-old black girl growing up in the crowded, noisy streets of a vast city where every day is a test of courage and survival. By day, she helps her mother sell small meals to hurried passers-by, the aroma of fried food mixing with the chaos of traffic and street vendors' calls. By night, she returns to a small, cramped apartment with her little brother Liam, where dreams of something better keep her awake long after the city sleeps. Amara is smart, curious, and fearless in ways that surprise even those who have known her all her life. The street has been her classroom, teaching her lessons no textbook could offer. Yet, for all her resilience, danger lurks at every corner. On this particular afternoon, the local gang, notorious for bullying children and taking whatever they want, spotted Amara and Liam. They approached with sneers and mocking words, aiming to frighten the siblings and assert dominance over the street. But Amara's instinct to protect her brother is stronger than fear. She holds her head high, meeting their eyes without wavering, her voice firm. "Back off now." The gang laughs, thinking this is a child's bluff, but Amara doesn't flinch. She knows the streets better than they do. Every shortcut, every hiding spot, every witness who might intervene. Her courage is a quiet storm, steady and unwavering. As the boys close in, Amara grabs Liam's hand and positions herself between him and the threat, her body tense but her mind calculating. She remembers her mother's words. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes it's in the calm you hold under pressure. One of the gang members steps forward aggressively, but before he can push, Amara shouts for help, her voice echoing through the narrow lanes. Neighbors peek from windows, shopkeepers glance up from their stalls. The city itself seems to hold its breath. The boy hesitates, and Amara takes a slow, deliberate step forward, signaling she will not back down. The tension is thick, the stares of onlookers a silent jury to the courage of one determined girl. In that moment, Amara is more than a street kid. She is a protector, a fighter, a sister who will not let fear dictate her actions. Slowly, the gang retreats, mumbling insults under their breath, leaving Amara and Liam shaken but unbroken. As the adrenaline fades, Amara crouches to Liam's level and whispers, "We'll be okay. Mom and I will find a way through this, I promise." The city hums around them, indifferent yet alive, and in that heartbeat Amara feels a flicker of hope, the first spark of the life she dreams of. She knows the streets have tested her already, and they will continue to, but she also knows that courage, even in the smallest acts, can change the course of a day, a life, a future. This is the beginning of Amara's journey, a story of determination, love, and the unyielding hope that even from the harshest streets, dreams can rise. Stay with us, because her story is only just beginning, and every step forward is a lesson in resilience and the power of the human spirit. The rain had just stopped, and the streets were glistening when Amara sat cross-legged in front of the small, flickering TV in her cramped living room. The program was announcing a nationwide talent and knowledge competition with a grand prize that could change everything for her family. Her younger brother, Liam, peeked over her shoulder, eyes wide with excitement and hope. "Mom would be so proud," he whispered. Amara smiled, brushing a curl from her face, and turned to the camera. "Hey, everyone watching, where are you from? Which city are you watching from today?" Imagining the moment she could actually hold that prize in her hands, imagining a life where the cramped apartment, the daily struggle, the hunger, and the fear of losing it all could finally end. But it wasn't going to be easy. The next day, she walked to school with a determination in her step that contrasted with the looks of doubt she received from everyone around her. Friends whispered that she was chasing something impossible, that a girl from their neighborhood with no money, no influential connections, could never win. "They don't know me," Amara muttered under her breath, her eyes glinting with quiet defiance. At home, she spent hours researching, memorizing facts, practicing answers, and rehearsing her presentation. She would quiz Liam, letting him giggle at her mistakes, correcting him with patience, showing him that learning was a way to fight back against the unfairness of their world. The other kids from the neighborhood laughed when they saw her studying late at night. "Why waste your time?" they said. "It's never going to pay off." Amara would only smile. "I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it for us." The day of the preliminary round arrived. Amara clutched her lucky notebook and walked into the crowded hall where other contestants whispered and stared. Some judges raised their eyebrows at her modest clothes, the worn shoes, the hopeful glow in her eyes that dared to be bigger than her surroundings. The questions started and Amara answered with a combination of quick thinking and sharp memory, the skills she had learned not from books alone, but from the streets, from watching her mother negotiate with customers, from helping Liam count coins to make their small meals stretch further. When the results were posted, she was among the top contestants advancing to the next round. Cheers erupted around her, but some still doubted, pointing out that her background was not typical for a winner. Yet in that moment, Amara held Liam's hand, feeling his small fingers wrap around hers, and whispered, "We can do this. We will make it." She looked directly at the camera again, speaking to viewers. "Remember, it's not where you start, but how hard you fight for what you believe in. If you ever feel doubted, think of someone who believes in you, even if it's just yourself." As she left the hall that evening, the sun dipping behind the tall city buildings, she felt the spark of hope ignite fully within her. Every step, every effort, every late night of studying had brought her closer to a dream that once seemed impossible. And though the path ahead was filled with obstacles, Amara knew this. Dreams are worth the struggle, and courage is born in moments when the world tells you to give up. She held her head high, walking through the city streets with her brother skipping alongside her, and said softly, "We're just getting started here." The tension was immediate as Amara stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding in rhythm with the flashing lights. The audience was a mix of curious onlookers, eager contestants, and skeptical judges. Some of the other participants whispered behind their hands, throwing subtle glances that carried disbelief and a hint of mockery. "She doesn't belong here," one muttered, the words sharp and dismissive. Amara felt the sting but pushed it aside, reminding herself why she was here. "Before we dive deeper, I want to know who's watching. What city are you from? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy inspiring stories like this, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a story of perseverance and triumph." Back to Amara. She was young, black, and from a neighborhood that often felt invisible to the wider world. Every challenge she had faced growing up had prepared her for moments like this. She approached the first question with focus, recalling the countless hours she had spent studying at night, using borrowed books and online resources whenever she could. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. The judges watched, some impressed, others doubtful. Soon the next round brought more pressure. One contestant tried to mislead the audience, claiming answers that weren't hers, casting subtle accusations in Amara's direction. The murmurs grew louder, but she didn't retaliate. Instead, she relied on her unique perspective, the practical wisdom gained from helping her mother sell food on the streets, from calculating change, observing human behavior, learning quickly in high-stress situations. Each question that came at her was a test not just of knowledge but of composure, and she navigated them with calm precision. Behind the bright lights and cheering crowds, the reality of her life was still pressing. At home, food was scarce. Her younger brother's school books were tattered, and quiet evenings meant catching up on studies while her little sibling slept. Every mistake could be costly, but every success fueled her resolve. When the final question approached, the room seemed to hold its breath. Even those who had doubted her earlier now watched with a new respect, captivated by her courage and intellect. She took a deep breath, answered clearly, her voice firm. The applause that followed was not just for a correct answer, but for the journey she had taken to get here. From the streets of her neighborhood to the bright stage of the competition, Amara's resilience shone. As she walked off stage, a mixture of relief and pride washed over her. The struggle had been real, the obstacles many, but each challenge had strengthened her, proving that intelligence, courage, and perseverance often outshine privilege. And as you watch this story unfold, remember, sometimes life's toughest trials are the very ones that prepare you for greatness. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where Amara faces a choice that could change everything: her determination, her family, and the opportunity that might finally lift them from the hardships they have endured. The final round of the competition had begun, and the tension in the room was almost unbearable. The bright lights of the stage cast sharp shadows, highlighting the nervous faces of the contestants. Among them stood Amara, an 18-year-old black girl from a struggling neighborhood whose heart raced but whose resolve was unwavering. As the first question flashed on the screen, murmurs filled the audience, questioning if someone from her background could really compete at this level. But Amara's eyes sparkled with quiet confidence. She thought of the streets she grew up on, the lessons learned while helping her mother sell food, the clever ways she had navigated every obstacle thrown her way. Who knew the answer to this could come from the corners of the city we live in? She whispered to herself. The camera pans to the judges, their eyebrows raised in surprise as she articulates a precise, well-thought-out answer. The audience gasps, some leaning forward, captivated by her poise. Amara continues question after question, each one met with the same calm and intelligence. She draws not just on books or rote memorization, but on lived experience, understanding people, culture, and the subtle nuances that others often overlook. The other contestants glance at her nervously, realizing this is no ordinary performance. Amara's cleverness is undeniable. As the round progresses, her answers draw applause. Whispers of admiration ripple through the crowd. How does she know this? Some wonder. The final question appears on the screen, a particularly tricky one designed to test reasoning under pressure. Amara smiles slightly, recalling an incident from her neighborhood, the people, the patterns of thinking, the small details others dismiss. With a steady voice she responds, and the room erupts in astonishment. Judges exchange impressed glances. Audience members cheer, some even stand in ovation. Amara feels a surge of pride, but more than pride, a deep sense of validation. The knowledge she had cultivated on the streets, the resilience she had built through struggle, had brought her here. As she looks at the audience, seeing their respect now earned, she remembers her younger brother, her family, and everything she had sacrificed. This is just the beginning, she thinks, her heart swelling with determination. The camera captures the moment perfectly. A young black girl, once underestimated, now standing as a symbol of perseverance and intelligence, turning prejudice into admiration. Sometimes the answers we need aren't in the textbooks, she whispers. They're in the life we've lived. And as the applause continues, the judges nod approvingly, their skepticism replaced with admiration. Amara has not just answered questions, she has changed perceptions, proving that determination, intelligence, and the lessons learned from life itself are more powerful than any bias or expectation. The round ends and she walks off the stage with her head held high, knowing that her journey, though far from over, has taken a pivotal step forward. She has turned doubt into recognition, challenge into opportunity, and hardship into triumph. The final buzzer sounds, and the audience erupts into applause. Amara Lewis, a young black girl of just 18, stands frozen for a moment, heart pounding, mind racing. Did this really happen? All the sleepless nights, the hunger, the fear, the relentless struggle to help her family and protect her younger brother. It had led to this exact moment. Cameras flash. Judges lean forward with smiles, some still in disbelief but all finally recognizing the brilliance they had underestimated. She hears the host announce her name. And the winner of the grand prize is Amara Lewis. The words hit her like a tidal wave, and tears fill her eyes. Amara glances at her little brother, his face lighting up with awe and pride, and she feels a swell of hope. As if for the first time in her life, the world is not entirely against her. She turns toward the crowd, her voice trembling but firm. This isn't just for me, this is for my family, for everyone who has ever been told they're not enough. The judges nod, some clapping, some wiping away a tear. understanding that this young girl from the streets has shown more wisdom and courage than most could imagine. Cameras pan to the audience, faces filled with admiration, whispers spreading. She did it. She really did it. Outside in the neighborhood she grew up in, neighbors hear the news and cheer from windows and doorways, proud of a girl they had watched struggle and persevere. Amara knows this is only the beginning. The money, the recognition, the opportunities. They are tools, not the goal. She will use them to lift her family, to support her community, and to prove that brilliance isn't born from privilege but forged in perseverance, intelligence, and courage. Standing on the rooftop of her new home, the city sprawling below her like a patchwork of challenges and possibilities, she breathes in the fresh air and smiles genuinely for the first time in years. "We can rise even from the hardest streets," she whispers to herself and her brother, a promise of hope and action. She turns to the camera, looking directly at you, the viewer, and asks, "If you've ever been told you couldn't, will you let that stop you? Will you keep believing, keep striving even when the world says no?" The moral is clear. Ingenuity, persistence, and faith in yourself can transform even the most challenging circumstances into triumph. Never underestimate the power of resilience. Never give up when the odds are stacked against you, and always believe that your actions can inspire change, not just for yourself but for everyone around you. Thank you for watching this story of courage, determination, and triumph. If Amara's journey inspired you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so you won't miss stories that uplift, motivate, and remind us all of the extraordinary strength we carry inside. Your support helps us keep telling these stories, and together, we can rise.